Hello, I'm Annette Young and welcome to the 51%, a show about women reshaping our world. In this week's program, we're focusing on two women who are confronting radical Islam in two very different ways. Firstly, the tale of Vian Dakhil, the brave Iraqi politician who's taking on the Islamic State Group as she battles to save Yazidi women from sexual slavery. And we also meet Deeyah Khan, an award-winning filmmaker who in her latest documentary seeks to find out what motivates Western-born Muslims to become jihadists. But we begin in Iraq, where Vian Dakhil is the country's only Yazidi MP. For the last 2 years, she's been investing all her time and most of her personal fortune to save fellow Yazidi women from sexual slavery at the hands of the Islamic State Group. Her struggle means she's now at the top of the jihadist group's hit list. Our colleagues from France 2 Television went to meet her.
At 44 years old, she spends every waking moment working at saving her people, the Yazidis. This ancient religious minority is reviled by ISIS. Militants have already kidnapped and tortured thousands of these men and women.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Welcome.
This is one of those girls. I helped them to escape, to liberate.
Vian Dakhil is an Iraqi lawmaker from a very wealthy family. One day, she had the idea to buy back these women from IS militants with her own money by using an underground network of activists.
So I give this family about $17,000 for this family.
Some of her relatives in Syria got in touch with me to say that some people from the Islamic State Group wanted to sell her. So I collected the money and I gave it to an infiltrated agent on the ground. He managed to buy her back and set her free.
Her battle to save her people started 2 years ago in the Iraqi parliament in Baghdad. An emotional plea that went viral, alerting the world to the Yazidis' plight. Before being bought back from IS militants, this woman was sold 8 times in the open market.
They would buy us just to rape us. A month later, when they were done with us, they would sell us to someone else. They would mistreat us and beat us. They made us suffer so much, we were becoming mad.
And this is her son Adel. The 7-year-old was forcefully enrolled in the Islamic State organization's army.
I had to follow a jihadist all the time. He would take me everywhere, even when he would go slaughter someone. He would tell me, take a good look at how it's done, because soon you'll be doing it.
Oh my God.
Efforts to help her fellow Yazidis have made her an assassination target.
They believe in Sharia law. I believe in humanity. The message I want to send them is that my faith is stronger than theirs. I believe in justice, whereas they just massacre human beings.
Vian will continue her quest until every single one of the 3,600 Yazidis held captive by the Islamic State Group in Iraq and Syria is released.
Now, in the battle against the Islamic State Group, many governments in the West are struggling to understand why thousands of Western-born Muslims are joining the jihadists. Deeyah Khan, a British-based filmmaker, decided to try and find out why. The result is a gripping documentary entitled Jihad, a British Story. Let's take a look.
Al-Qur'anu dasturuna, the Quran is our constitution. Wal jihadu tariquna, the jihad is our way.
Last summer, I met this man, one of the founding fathers of jihad in the UK.
I inspired and recruited. I trained, I raised funds, I sent people for training, I went and fought myself, and it wasn't for just a one-off, 15 to 20 years.
I wanted to know why so many young people today are drawn to violent extremism, fighting and dying on battlefields far from home.
I just had so much hate in me. I wanted to kill or be killed.
I wanted to know why they had been drawn into extremism.
I was called in at school and the teacher said to me, your child came up and said that it's okay for us to kill, non-Muslims. And I thought, oh my God, what is happening here?
What I learned and what I filmed surprised even me.
And Deeyah Khan joins us now from London. Deeyah, thanks for being with us. Now, one theme that constantly emerges from these interviews is a sense of not belonging, that these are people struggling with identity. But it's one thing to feel like an outsider, but another to take up arms and kill.
That's right. For me, I myself, I am a European-born Muslim. I faced a lot of the same issues that a lot of these young men would describe to me. And what struck me is the fact that they find that the only way that they can access power, the only way that they can engage with politics is through violence rather than any alternative means. And I think that's one of the things that really surprised me and also really scared me. But beyond that, what was the most interesting aspect for me of having spent the last 2 years interviewing extremists, convicted terrorists and former jihadis is the fact that there are certain gaps in a lot of these young people's lives that terrorist groups are finding a way to fulfill. So basic human and personal needs that somehow we as a society, our communities, our families are not really able to fulfill, but these groups are.
Now, here in France, Deeyah, the Prime Minister created a controversy after the Paris attacks in November by saying that by understanding the jihadist motives is almost excusing them. What would you say to that statement?
I don't agree. The thing is, we're not here to excuse or justify people's violence. What we're here to try and hopefully do is we have to be in a position where we can understand what motivates them, what drives them, how we might be able to interrupt and interfere with their path towards violence so that we can be more effective in dismantling their movement. It's not about justifying or glorifying or excusing any of the brutality. I think this comes down to understanding so that we can do a better job with actually destroying their movement. And I think for our leaders to be saying that understanding somehow equals justifying it, I think is ridiculous. Perhaps that's the reason we are where we are today.
And you grew up in Norway to immigrant parents from Afghanistan and Pakistan. And as you just said, you understand very well the culture clash of coming from this in-between place. How much did it really help you in terms of not only relating to the people that you interview, but also gaining their confidence?
Bizarrely, it shocked me and actually really surprised me because I've had the experiences that I've had. I've experienced all the things that a lot of these young men speak about, which is discrimination, feeling like you're marginalized, feeling like you are less than your white counterparts in the country that you grow up in. Having said that, also being a woman, I didn't just experience that, but I also experienced being discriminated against within the community because I am a woman, not quite meeting the standards of what it means to be a proper, good, obedient woman. So I sort of got it from both sides. So I could relate to these young men's feelings. I could understand where they're coming from, but at the same time, I've had the same experiences, and I choose to pick up a camera instead of a gun.
Now, the majority of them were men. As a woman, how hard was it to gain their trust?
It took a long time, I have to say. I mean, this film took me about 2 years to make. It took a long time. Some of them actually, when I initially contacted them, they got back with me and they said, look, we've Googled you and we see that you are a human rights activist. We see that you are a women's rights activist. And we see that you are basically our natural enemy. and so we don't really want to talk to you. So it was quite difficult and quite awkward at the beginning to try and find a way, or try and have them see that we need to still sit down and have a conversation. And the way that we got to that point is I was very, very honest. And I said, look, I have the background that I have the feelings that I have towards you. Having said that, I am making this film because I sincerely want to understand what is going on so that we can try and see how we can actually get beyond this.
Deeyah, finally, what is the answer to that question?
What I learned is that there's not one path to radicalization. There are many reasons why our young people are drawn to this. Everything from an identity crisis to a search of belonging and meaning in life, which is something that I think most of us are looking for as well. Groups like ISIS are now saying, look, we are this third space. We're the space where you can come, you can belong, you can have a sense of purpose. The invisible suddenly becomes visible. The man who feels emasculated can finally feel like he matters. Our young people feel like they can contribute and change the world, and they believe they can do it through violence. Surely we should be able to facilitate and answer all those questions, and not these vicious, barbaric, violent groups.
Deeyah Khan, I'm so sorry. We've run out of time. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
And that's it for now. And if you'd like to comment on what you've just seen, you can head to our Facebook page, that's 51%-France24, or do send us a tweet at _51%. Thanks for your feedback so far, and please do keep those comments coming in. So until our next program, bye for now.